Good morning, Flosstube. Welcome to my channel, Hollow Sands Create. This is Christine. It's episode 36, and let's see, today is Sunday, February 6th. It's pretty early in the morning. My workroom downstairs is covered with boxes that arrived yesterday, inventory and things like that. And so upstairs in the front of the house, it faces the east. We get an early morning sun, so I thought, you know what, I'll just move things up here instead of trying to clear everything off downstairs. And so you're getting me coming from a new location today. It's been a month, a little over a month. January 1st, I believe, was my last Flosstube. So if you're a returning subscriber, follower, I so appreciate you, and I hope you're tuning back in and on a regular basis. If you would, you know, please like and subscribe if you do like what you see. And if you're new, welcome, and I hope that you'll be inspired by maybe some things that you see today, or just general creativity. Today we're going to talk mostly about cross stitch, a little bit of wool applique. I've got a little bit of a life update, and we'll talk about some just saying corner of the episodes, where we're going to talk about today some lighting. So anyway, let's get started. I'll start with a little bit of a life update. Like I said, it's been a little over a month since I was here. If you've been following me on Instagram or on my channel, you will know that I have had my oldest child, my daughter Brittany, who lives in Italy, and my first grandbaby, Alaska Rose, here since September. They came to visit and stay originally for just a few weeks, and it turned into 4.5 months. I was thrilled. I'll take the 4.5 months any day. Unfortunately, because where they live, it's, you know, our visits are feast or famine, right? So we either get her for a lot of time all at once or nothing at all. I was so grateful that we got to be here for Alaska's first steps, first words, first birthday, first real Christmas. She was an infant, you know, maybe a month old, 5 weeks old last year for Christmas. So, and they didn't even really have a tree or anything because they were still out of their house. Anyway, the issue that they're waiting on with the kitchen is still not 100% resolved, but they do now have at least lighting fixtures. The nursery furniture has arrived, everything except for the kitchen. And the day that they had booked the flights back to Italy, they found out the kitchen actually, which was going to be installed this week, or this past Friday actually, was delayed a week. So Brittany's like, you know what, I don't care. It'll be fine, and I'll just be able to be there when they're actually doing the install and make sure I'm watching things. And so they'll have to, you know, kind of camp out just a little bit. And she said, we've got, you know, electric steamers and different things that they can use. They weren't planning on installing a microwave at all anyway, because I did say, well, if you've got a microwave. She's like, we're not having a microwave. So they won't have a stove. They'll just have to kind of figure out some of the logistics. But anyway, they're home. They sent just a wonderful picture. Brittany snapped a picture of when she came through customs in Malpensa, which is the airport there in Milan, and pushing the baby in the stroller, and when Paolo got to see her, and of course he tears of joy. So anyway, it was a good reunion. We had a grand visit. I miss them so much. The house is so quiet without the baby, but you know, we're looking forward to the next visit. So and in the meantime, I had planned some home remodeling as well, not thinking that of course they would still be here. So that's been a little bit chaotic over the last couple of weeks. 2 weekends ago, we had the guys come in and they tore out the master bath cabinetry and countertops and sinks and the mirror and all that stuff. And then the shower estate, it was recently remodeled before we bought the house. They tore out all of my laundry room cabinets, and we had this strange cubby thing on the wall that was really kind of useless. It reminded me of, if you remember back in the day, the kindergarten cubbies, when you would go in and you had a little cubby to hang maybe your backpack and your little jacket, and maybe put your lunchbox there, or your napping mat. I don't know, do they do napping mats anymore? I know we used to have a mat to nap on. But anyway, that's what was on the wall. You couldn't even put a adult-sized jacket hook on it. It was crazy. Anyway, so we had all that pulled off. New cabinets all put in there. And we also had another area in kind of between, it's like a little hearth room off the kitchen, where just inside the doors, you come in and there was a desk there with a kind of a funky little cabinet thing above it. And so we had all that torn off. And I had like a built-in, kind of like a split china cabinet. So buffet at the top, or at the bottom, and then cabinets with some glass front doors affixed to the wall above that. So it'll be built in, and much more functional for, storing things. And it'll also have a granite top rather than a wood top, because that desk was just beat to garbage from, people walking in and throwing their keys and whatever else on the top of that desk, and you wouldn't use that desk. You'd be sitting right in the doorway. It was a very strange setup. But anyway, so the cabinet pieces have been installed. The cabinet maker forgot to ship the glass front doors, so we're missing doors, and forgot to ship the install kit, which includes your shelf brackets and things like that. So still waiting on a few things like that. One of the cabinets, the tower for the master bath, was made incorrectly, so that has to be replaced. It's reconstruction, right? It's remodeling. It's kind of what's to be expected. So I can use the shower in the master, and then I just have to kind of go into my master closet and kind of change clothes there, and then I run into the half bath here and off of the living room, and use that. So who knows what I look like. Can't use my magnifying mirrors, which without my glasses I can't see anything in front of my face. So anyway, it's been a process. But I'm looking forward to having that completed. So let's see what else has been going on. Oh, I have to say, we've actually been pretty cold off and on here in Kansas City. And now that I'm working from home downstairs, we have a finished walkout basement. It gets pretty cool down there. My feet would really get cold, and I'm not a person to wear shoes unless I'm not going out of the house. If I have to too much. I love sandals. That was probably the one thing about Texas that I did enjoy, was the milder temperatures and the fact that I could wear flip-flops or no shoes at all quite a bit of the time. So I was on the hunt for a really good house shoe of some kind that didn't impede my progress. When I'm moving around in my workroom, I'm moving around, pretty quickly, packing orders, pulling items, things like that. And so my house shoes they drove me nuts. But just socked feet, my feet were freezing. So look what I found. LL Bean to the rescue. These booties are the best thing ever. I guess you could say it's what I'm all into. It's Sherpa lined, but has this kind of a bottom, which is really nice. And it's like a suede top. These things are fantastic. I put these on and I can wear them all day. My feet aren't cold at all because it's got that rubberized bottom, so it kind of insulates the bottom of your foot without being completely too hot so that your feet are sweating, you want to pull them off. So anyway, love those. So I just had to share. LL Bean, best investment I will probably, likely, maybe even buy another pair to have in reserve, because sometimes you don't know if they're going to keep things in stock. So anyway, just needed to share that. So if you're looking for some booties, LL Bean, way to go. All right, let's get to stitching, because, you know, that's why you're here, right? Let's review my January plan progress. In my last video, I did show several WIPs that I had that I wanted to consider to pull out to work on in the month of January. If you'll recall, I showed, I think 5. I picked 2 that I thought I could probably get some, you know, work in on and possibly finishes. And the first one that I picked, I'll back up a little bit. It was kind of funny. As I was reading through comments after, I had several people like, here's your marching orders. So I did take that seriously. I pulled out Burr, It's Cold Outside by Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread. And as you recall, I had kind of stitched to here, but had not done all this white and hadn't done this white snowman. So I was kind of like, all that white. So I thought, well, let's pick the first thing that I probably wouldn't want to do the most, and let's get it done. So I finished it. Yay, I'm so happy. This light's kind of... You kind of see the modeling in that fabric that I used. But anyway, I just think it turned out really cute. So I'm glad to have that off of the WIP list and into the finish column. So that was my first one. Now, as far as finishes goes, that's as good as it gets. But I did then go to Let It Snow, which was the Stoney Creek banner, bell pull, that I had, gosh, I have had this one for a long time. So as you recall, I had unrolled it and kind of showed everybody, and this is where I had stopped, and I just had this bottom motif, set of motifs to finish. So this is where I got to. I got this little house all installed, a chunk of the snowman. So I just have to finish up the snowman, and he's holding like a sled. And then I will have Let It Snow finished. Excuse me. I tossed my board onto the floor. So there's where I am with Let It Snow. So I'm not letting it go, letting it snow. I'm going to continue working on it. Let's see. What was my next? My next thing that I had carried into 2022 as a WIP was a December start. This was Plum Street Samplers, This Joyous Season. And let me just share with you that ginormous house is not for the faint of heart. I'm stitching this on 46 count Vintage Light Exemplar by Lakeside. Let me show you where I am. There we go. That house was a booger. And as you can see, I'm working on this fill-in. I took this to Stitch Club yesterday at Quilter Station for Saturday of the month we meet. And so I just worked on all, this fill-in, and it doesn't look like I did much at all. But on 46 count, you're actually doing quite a lot. This house was really, it was really something. I was like, woo, after it was done, I kind of had a little party. And then, I think Paulette built this house in the middle of the redwood forest, because look at the size of this tree. Holy mackerel. It was big. So, here's my threads that I'm using. It's all the called for threads. And they're a total mess. I don't pet my threads and whatever, and I'm currently using them, so they look a little bit messy. But so that is this Joyous season. And, you know, really, I just have the rest of the fill-in to do here because all the little things are inserted that are in the bottom. The trees are done here. This side is done. I took out this flag and actually put in another tree. The basket is done, and I've started on the leaves. So I just have to do these leaves here, insert some snowflakes. I have not decided if I'm going to put Repeat the Sounding Joy across the top. I may. I just haven't decided yet. When I get up to that point, I'll decide if I want to just stop the border and go straight across, or if I want to insert that. So anyway, hoping to get a finish on that one pretty quickly. That one, let's see. Oh, I'm going to consult my book of days, and I'll show you my book of days. I actually got a few little stickers. Woohoo! I'm not a big sticker person. My husband said that we'd all reverted back to elementary school playing with our stickers. But I did get a few and put them in. So there's my January, and, you know, this is Hello Winter, and some little snowflakes and mittens. Nothing super fancy. But as you can see, I only had one day there where I have NS listed, no stitching. Now, I will say that on a few days, it literally was maybe 10 minutes, not too much. Grandma had reading duty, bedtime reading duty, which I thrilled with. And so until Alaska went to bed, which was typically not till, 9:30, 10 o'clock, I was, we were playing, we were having dinner, and then playing, and then reading, and it just, that's precious time. So I wouldn't sometimes pick up my stitching until, 9:30, 10 o'clock. And, depending on how tired I was, I got in maybe 15 minutes on some nights, and some nights I stitched for 2 hours. So anyway, but Joyous season, I would say, probably took up a fair amount of my time. Now let's real quickly move on here. I'll show you, as if you'll recall, I had a January 1st start planned with the ladies who sit at my table at Stitch Club, and you all know who you are. And we are stitching Our Lasting Friendship by Blackbird Designs. Isn't that really beautiful? Such a beautiful sampler. So we started that January 1st. And I'll show you my progress. Now, this has turned into my Sunday stitch. And I didn't iron it, y'all, sorry. I'm stitching it on 40 count Sand Dunes by Seraphim. Let's see if you can, well, I'm not doing a very good job of holding this up. Maybe I don't need that board since it's folded material. There you go. So now here are my threads. I pulled quite a few threads. I did make a couple of changes. I pulled in Cayenne, Classic Colorworks Cayenne, and replaced some of the little motifs and like on tops of the flowers here, because I wanted to kind of punch it up just a little bit. I also pulled in, let's see, because I just went in through, kind of grabbed quite a few colors that were just in that same palette that I thought would look really, interesting. And as I'm going, I'm kind of looking at where I am, what's in that section, and pulling out colors. So obviously Cayenne is the one I was just talking about that I pulled. I'm using a combination of Otter Creek from Gentle Art, and Deep Forest from Gentle Art for some of the greens. I put in, let's see, these little motifs here, the little drops, little grapes or whatever they are. I pulled from Color and Cotton Whiskey. So I'm just doing like little bits here and there just to kind of, again, punch up the colors just a little bit. This is a beautiful sampler, but the color palette that the Blackbird ladies had used is pretty muted, and I just wanted to add a little bit more color. So there's my progress. This has had, let's see, it had New Year's Day, and then 3 Sundays worth of work, and that's it. So this is where I am. I'll work on this afternoon, this evening. Yesterday at Stitch Club, so a couple of the ladies, I guess 3 of the ladies had brought theirs with, and oh my goodness, Glenna, one lady, she's almost completely finished. It is crazy, and it's just so beautiful. And then we all got to look into, well, what linens are you using? Because we're, some of us are using different linen, and that's kind of the joy of it, right? You're comparing and oohing and awing over each other's progress, and also, it's kind of nice. You're getting to see what else someone else is doing, and decide, do you really love that, or do you want to maybe change it a little bit and make it a little more personal to you? Anyway, it's just been fun. It's been fun. I really enjoy this Stitch Club. We meet, like I said, the first Saturday of the month for general stitching, and then 2 weeks ago, January, they restarted the Sampler Club stitching, which is the 3rd Saturday of the month. Now, I didn't get to go this time in January because that was the weekend we were having the guys come in and do all the tear out. So I obviously had to be here at the house, but I'm hoping maybe I'll get to go in 2 weeks. So, okay, so that was Bert's Cold, Our Lasting Friendship, Let It Snow, Joyous Season, and let's see, what else did I do? I did do, I consider this a WIP, even though you get individual finishes. I did some work on the Raven. As you recall, I'm doing this with 3 other ladies, and let me show you the back of this because that shows you kind of the whole quilt. So we're doing the 9 blocks, and I had finished block 1, block 2 and 3 are cut out, and then I got block 2 all pinned and ready to stitch. I'm working on getting block 3 all pinned. It's all traced and partially cut out. I got to finish cutting it out. And what I'm doing is I'm just putting it in this like little basket so that it's next to my stitch chair. And I'm going to do the same thing with, block 3 and probably block 4. And then that way I can just pick it up and stitch. I don't have to go downstairs, do the whole, I use freezer paper, but tracing and cutting out and all that kind of stuff. I think it'll go much faster and we'll keep the progress going. Oh, I apologize. I've been up since really early and went to bed pretty late. So I was messaging with Brittany from the airplane as they were flying over. So just, she had somebody to kind of chat with. It's a 9-hour flight, so a long time with a baby. Okay, let's see. The next thing, I did have an unplanned new start, right? We knew it was going to probably happen. Finally, a farm girl, Chrissy. I watch her Flosstube and follow her on Instagram, and she had posted a picture of a start that she and Becca from Sambry Stitches were doing together and co-leading a stitch along, a SAL. And it was of Owl Forest Embroidery's Red Cardinals. And I absolutely love this. I had Owl Forest Embroidery's swallows pattern already, which is just beautiful. And it's so very interesting because when we moved up here, the first couple of months, we had a mom and daddy cardinal who had nested in the back, and I could see them almost every day. And you know what they say about when cardinals appear, you know, a loved one is near, or a departed loved one is near. And I always kind of thought of them as, you know, grandma and grandpa welcoming me back home, because my grandparents are from here in Kansas City. I spent a lot of summers with them here in Kansas City after we had moved away when I was in 2nd grade. And so I just thought, well, you know, that's grandma and grandpa welcome me home. Well, then I saw, you know, Chrissy and Becca doing this, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to join them. This stitch is going to be, you know, dedicated to my grandparents, my brother who have passed away, and because he loved birds as well. And I'll show you my progress. I started this, when did I start? I started it on January 19th. I'm stitching on 36 count Thesby, which is from Seraphim, hand dyed by Seraphim. And I love it. Absolutely love this. The motifs are just so beautiful. So when I'm finished, because there are so many cardinals, you got this little pair here and this pair here. One of those two pairs, I probably this one, I'm going to insert the initials of my grandparents. And I'm not sure yet which one. I'm leaning towards this one to insert the initials of my brother who has passed. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I don't want to do that until the end. Now, Owl Forest Embroidery has their own threads that you could order with this, but I just wanted to download and did not want to wait on threads. So I pulled a whole ton of threads. I had happened to have, I purchased a couple years ago, one of the collections of red from Victorian Motto. And so I pulled that whole ring of all the different reds. Then I added in some Buckeye Scarlet, because that's kind of just like my favorite red from General Arts. And then I just looked at the pattern and pulled my own colors. You know, I'm using Snowball for the white and Cast Iron Skillet for the black, and English Ivy, which is one of my favorite greens, for all of the greens. And it's just coming along so beautiful. I'll give you one more look. I love this. It's so pretty. Really, really pretty. And I just love this Thesby. I'm going to go back, I think, and order some more in a couple of different counts. I just had this one piece in 36, but I think I'm going to go back and order some more in 40, maybe even 46. It just turns out so beautifully. So beautifully. So that was kind of my unplanned start. So I eliminated a WIP and then created a WIP. But here's my plan then for February. Got my handy dandy little book here. And I didn't get to change my WIP count, unfortunately. It stayed at 42 for February because I finished one and added one. Well, good gravy. Okay. So, prepping my book for February. And you can see I've just, you know, I kind of throw in the initials JS. That's Joyous Season. So I worked on Joyous Season Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. In the morning at Stitch Club yesterday, but last evening I worked on Red Cardinals. So switched up the plan, but I've got some, you know, some fun little, you know, stickers for February. Not a ton. I love the sayings. I don't like to cover things up, and I don't like to cover up the whole, you know, the whole block. But anyway, so it's a few little accents. So what I'm gonna do, and if you'll note, I put finish February. This is gonna be finish February for me. So what I'm hoping for, I'm in a new spot, guys. I apologize if I'm turning around and moving. I don't have my normal table set up in front of me. So, but what my plan is to try to get a finish on the Cardinals, a finish on Joyous Season, and a finish on Let It Snow. I don't plan to finish Our Lasting Friendship. That's something that we're gonna, you know, several of us are still working slowly and are going to continue to work on. I did, however, restart, now that my stitching chair is back in its place. We had kind of had to rearrange some things with the baby here, but I did restart my 1 thread a day on Paradigm Found from Long Dong Samplers. And I apologize, that's not really in color. I just downloaded it all and print in black and white. But anyway, so here's where I had kind of left off back in September, when I kind of stopped doing my 1 thread a day. And when I picked it up a couple of days ago, I was right in here. So I basically got this kind of curly Q thing completely finished. So anyway, my chair's back in its spot, and which I'm thrilled with, and I'll be doing my 1 thread a day again in the mornings, stitching this on pecan butter, and I'm using Gentle Arts Current. So I love this. It's just so pretty. So that's the plan, you know, that got started back up in February, as well as to try to finish Cardinals, Joyous Season, Let It Snow. I'll work on my Sunday stitch on Our Lasting Friendship. But I have to say, I don't know if you guys have seen what Nicola from Hands Across the Sea has put out in the last couple of days. My shop copies should be here, I'm hoping today, but probably tomorrow, depending upon FedEx, of Mrs. Campbell Oben. And I'm going to insert a picture. But it is absolutely beautiful, and look at the heart border. That heart border, I was like, oh my goodness, I think I might have Valentine's Day start. We'll see. I'm excited to get it into my hands, take a look at it. But it was funny, I saw that Nicola posted on the Hands Across the Sea Samplers Instagram feed that she said Mrs. Campbell is probably her all-time favorite sampler, new all-time favorite sampler. It is just beautiful, just beautiful. So I'm very excited about that. I'm going to just pre-announce that I may have a new start that was not necessarily planned. So, you know, don't give me grief. So I've already added it to my list of new start possibilities. And but that list is still pretty short, as you can see, versus my WIP list. Now, I did get to mark 1 off. I'm hoping I get to mark off 3. So, well, actually I get to mark off 2 because Cardinals was a new start. So that will be, because new Red Cardinals was here and it got marked off since it got moved over into the calendar. And anyway, there you go. So, I tell you what I'm gonna do, because now I've got stuff all around me on little tables that I've set up, and I don't have a major table. So I'm going to pause for just a moment, reset, and we'll dive into just saying. Okay, thanks. Okay, I'm back. Let's go into lighting. Let's talk about lighting. For those of you who are new here, this is what I call the Just Sayin' section of the show. Stitch accessories you'll instantly need. And today I want to talk about lighting. So I've got 5 examples in the house that I use at different times, you know, for lighting. I do use magnifiers, little clip-on magna clips, but if I've got good lighting, I can really kind of stitch anywhere, even sometimes if without the magnifiers. So, you know, lighting's kind of key, right? I want to talk about, or just start to kind of show there's portable lighting. You can use something like this. I have used this on airplanes. I've used this in a hotel room when my husband falls asleep and then fusses at me because the light is still on, and I've strapped it on and and continued to stitch because I'm a night owl and he is not. This is called Tech Tools, and it was given to me quite a few years ago. My mother-in-law, who's deceased now, used one of these. She did antique jewelry and estate jewelry. She was an antique jewelry dealer, and then she did a lot of beading and things like that, and she used one of these, I guess, quite a bit. And so this was actually a gift, and that someone thought, you know, it would be you know, a handy little tool to be able to use for me for, you know, for stitching. So set that one aside. This next one I'm going to show you is from IdeaWorks. I ordered this on Amazon. This little guy, well, let me fold it down so you can see first. Completely portable, very nice. Uses, I believe, just uses AA batteries, so you can travel with this. You don't have to, on the airplane, you don't have to take it out, the batteries out, because they're not lithium. So it extends up, which is really nice. You hit this little guy, and it's got 3 settings you can see of brightness. And then you can adjust it however you need. I have stitched with this in a hotel. I've stitched with this on an airplane. Talk about handy there on an airplane. And you can just pull down your tray table and use it. This little guy was, I want to say, $9.95 on Amazon. So very, very handy. And there's the box. I just drop it right in, throw it into my stitch bag, and there you go. Super bright portable LED lamp. 3 brightness levels, says it stays bright for 100,000 hours. There you go. Very, very handy dandy. So those are kind of my portable lights. Then I guess I want to say it was right before the Quilter Station retreat in September. I had gone into Costco and, you know, zipping along. And of course, you know, you kind of are rubbernecking, right? Or my husband calls it beetlejuicing, looking at everything that they have. And I walked in and I saw these, what they called wellness lights. I'm going to pull it back so you can see a little better. Now, it's an aught light. And let me tell you, I took this thing with me to the stitching retreat at Quilter Station. You can see the light is changing colors because it's considered a wellness light as well. And it caused quite the stir. I think before it was over, I can't tell you, there at least 10, 12 people had told me that they'd messaged their husbands or they were headed right for Costco and they were getting one of these lights. Now, this is going to probably become my new favorite portable traveling companion. Look what it does. It bends. You don't have to have the wellness piece on. You can kind of turn that off. And it just super flexible arm, very lightweight, probably weighs a couple of pounds max. You turn it on here. I'm kind of, I don't want to blind you, but you've got different brightnesses. You can see it's got 4 layers of bright. On the surface here is a phone charger. Now that's key for me. When we're at retreat, you know, a lot of times everybody's bringing the lights, plug in, whatever. But then you're like, okay, you're on your phone, you're posted on Instagram, you're whatever. You want to keep your phone handy, especially if you're at retreat. You know, I have a family member trying to get a hold of you. I can just lay my phone here and it's charging, which to me is fantastic. I don't have to go somewhere to try to find a wall plug to plug in or whatever the case may be. And then it's got this handy dandy little display. It gives you month, day, date, time. You can see the temperature. You can set an alarm on here. It's just the handiest thing ever. And it's done by Applique. And I will say this was only 30, it was less than 35. It was between 30 and 35. I don't remember if it was $31.99 or $34.99, something like that, but it was definitely between 30 and 35. So, love it. Absolutely love it. Now, the other thing about this is I have it plugged in, but you don't have to have it plugged in. You can just pull it out. There is a lithium battery in here. So when I took this with me to Rhode Island, I did have to pull this battery out to be able to fly. So what I did was I just told my husband, because it's like a 2032, very common round disc battery. I just asked him if he'd buy one on the other side, and I took it out here, traveled with this, and then we reinserted one on the other side so I could have it with us while we were, doing our car trip through New England. And this thing is just great. I love it, love it. So I have 2 stitching areas in my house. One with my rocking chair, which is my most favorite, and if I'm going to be doing a lot of stitching, that's where I want to sit because I get such much better back support. It's a glider. I now have this with that chair, and I have my Stella with the other chair. Now, your Stella is going to be a much more expensive light. This is a couple $100. But it too will give you all different kinds of lighting. It's a 12-watt LED, and I've unplugged it for over here, but it has a much heavier base, but it does have that very, flexible piece on the neck so that you can, move your lighting. And then this one, when you turn it on, it then has where you can change the tone of the lighting. So it can be more of a warm light or a cold LED white light or whatever. And it has a much bigger light bar, so it definitely casts a bigger space. Now, I also do have a traditional kind of OT light that is on a stand and has a pretty good size head. I'm going to insert a couple pictures. It does have the magnifiers and then the ring of lights around the magnifying glass and then the spot magnifier. I tend to use that one down by my sewing machine. I have it kind of in the corner, and that's why I didn't drag it and pull it up, because it's kind of in that space, and it's really difficult to kind of pull everything out. But it's got nice heavy floor base, and then it raises up quite a bit, and I just flip it on when I'm at the machine just for extra light underneath. And I find that to be, very helpful. I purchased that one, probably 5, 6 years ago at Joann's when they were having like a 40 or 50% off deal. And so I got it, it was normally, I don't know, maybe $170, $180. And I think I got it for, right at less than 100. So there are all kinds of lights. I mean, you can go onto Amazon or just the internet in general and type in magnifying light, and light used to be kind of always the standard, but now there's other companies who have come out with competing lights. You can go to a retreat and you see everybody's got all different kinds of lights. Sometimes, for me, it's all about just the light. You notice there's really no magnifiers attached to these. Even on my floor stand, my light floor stand, I don't use the magnifier. I never did. It makes me a little dizzy. And when I'm stitching in the evening, I'm sitting back in my chair. I'm not sitting up where I have to have it kind of under the magnifier. It just doesn't work for me. And that's the thing, is that everybody's different, and you can, do what you need to do. So, anyway, that's the just saying section. Unfortunately, I'm not able to actually send someone a light. But no fear, I do have a giveaway planned, that we'll talk about here in this next section. Let me kind of move these things over. And the other big thing, let's kind of move on, I've been doing in this last, probably more in the last week or so, 10 days, is I have been going through and doing some reorganizing. My book of days has, continued to encourage me to look at my WIPS, and especially this list, because I keep it in my book of days so that when I get too squirrely, I'm like, okay, there's my WIP list. But also, when you do watch Flosstube, or you're seeing on Instagram, someone posts something, you're just like, woo, look at that. That is beautiful. Well, I got to kind of looking, and I typically store all of my charts by theme or season, with the exception of Blackbird, Paula Vaughn, because I collected Paula Vaughn right back from chart 1. So I have oodles. And I have a big binder for samplers. And I have a kind of a sub binder for the sampler company, Brenda Keys, because I have enough of those that they actually went into their own little binder. And that's and I put them all in binders, and that's kind of how I have them. Well, I kind of noticed as I was picking up miscellaneous samplers here and there, and also the couple of collections that I have been lucky enough to be asked to purchase or take over, there were a lot of samplers. And I've ended up with a lot of one-offs, what I call one-offs. Some of them are really old. I don't recognize the maker any longer. They're either, out of print, not in business, whatever the case may be. But also, just like onesie twosies, something like that. And my sampler binder was completely overflowing. And I thought, all right, I've got to figure this out. And then the other thing is, as you age, memory is not so great sometimes. I'm getting to where I don't remember if I have that sampler, or somebody will say, have you seen such and such? Oh, it's so beautiful. And especially with like McKenna from 1884 Stitchery, going back and obtaining the permissions to redistribute several of the old samplers, like from Of Female Worth, the spot sampler, which I immediately downloaded because that was a unicorn for me. So I knew I didn't have that one. But she's doing several, and I think that's kind of the trend, right? We all want to bring back some of those really classic samplers. But sometimes if you bought something 10 years ago, you don't remember if you have it or not. And I had such a huge bundle. I was like, oh my gosh. So I sat and I went through all of those, and I maintain a threads spreadsheet. And I have I have tabs for each type of threads, one for silks, one for overdyes, one for DMC. And I have all of my kits and or WIPS that have threads in them. I have them listed so that, like, you'll see a column for Gentle Arts, and then you'll see all these thread names. And if it's, say, apple cider, and if I've got a skein of apple cider in whatever, this kit is, and then whatever this project is, whatever, I list then those projects out to the side under, next to the line says apple cider, so that if I need to go back and find some for a project that I'm working on or whatever, I know how many skeins I have, when I'm not seeing them on my wall of threads that are readily available to just pull from. And because I've already pulled them and put them into something else. And especially with Gentle Arts, when it's hard to come by some of those colors, Garden Gate, Mulberry, Schoolhouse Red, Country Redwood, some of those colors, it might be months before you get any of those. So sometimes I need to go to a project and maybe split the skein and put, a chunk of it onto another thread keep and or tag holder, and move it into, share the love, right? Rob Peter to pay Paul, whatever you want to call it. So I thought, well, I'm going to add a spreadsheet, and I'm going to list all of these onesie twosies and one-off samplers that don't typically fit into a season, or are not, that I have in such quantity that I want a separate binder, like Blackbird. So I did that, and I added a tab, and then I've printed it, and I'm keeping it with my threads sheets so that it's easy to remember. Oh my goodness, I already have that. I don't want to rebuy it. I'm going to see how that works. I don't know. Does someone else have a better way? I do use the cross stitch app on my phone for my linens. And I have my Blackbird charts in there, and I have my Sampler Company charts in there. That's it. The rest of them I don't have listed. I somehow typically can usually remember if I've got something that's a seasonal chart. But I was getting so many of the samplers and older samplers that I couldn't remember. Did I have it or did I not have it? How do you store yours? That's kind of the question. I had texted another friend, Kay, said, how do you store yours? How is it easily remembered? If you go into the cross stitch app, you have to put your charts in by designer. They don't really have like a miscellaneous or like, say, a theme. I would love it if there would be a thing in there that just says samplers, and then you could go in and add it under there. But that's not the way they have it. Maybe someone knows of another app that has it like that by subject, or, rather than by designer name, because there are times when, like Lois Minshaw, I can never remember who the designer that is. I remember the name of the sampler. Don't ask me who the designer is. Now, some of you are probably yelling that right out at me, but for some reason I have a block on it and I just cannot remember it. So it would be nice to be able to, to do something like that. So I'm going to try this with the spreadsheet and see if it works. But question, how do you store and track your charts that are in your stash in your inventory? WIPS, I know. WIPS, I have my list. I'm working on them, so they've kind of stuck more in my mind. but the actual charts, so that you don't duplicate purchases. If you would be so kind as to answer that question, and if you would like to use the word tracking when you answer that question, I'm going to give away the Cross Stitch Journal. Now, this is a little book from It's So Emma Stitchery, Lori Holt, and it is a really nice little, it's got 50 project sheets that you can put all your information about your projects, your WIPS, things like that. I was thinking I might put my little project cards. You know how I put my have my project cards. I might at the end of the year do this to chronicle my finishes. You've got some nice space. You can put in your floss. I probably wouldn't use the time tracker. So what I thought I would do is I have a little Polaroid camera and a little printer. And I thought, well, I'll just snap a picture and put it in here. And that will be my finishes record. I don't know. I'm thinking about that. We'll see. But I'm going to give one of these away. And if you'd like to have this and you'd care to share how you store and track your charts, just make sure you use the word tracking. Please don't use, the word giveaway or freebie or, anything like that. I want to make sure this goes to someone who actually stitches and would like to be able to use this. Let's see. I'm kind of moving along through here, and I don't want this to be too long. I'm going to do a quick shop update, and then I'll let you roll with your Sunday. I got a new logo. I have this one, and you're going to see, if you look on my Instagram and on the shop, you're going to see they also did a little round logo for me. And unfortunately, the printed items that I have ordered from that logo haven't arrived yet. So this one did happen to arrive. So when you get your project information cards from an order that you might have placed through my shop, you will be getting one that has my new logo. The other little sub logo actually is really cute. It's a circle and has the hand in it. And I will try to pop a picture of that up as well. But I love that. So I'm excited about that, and it was kind of high time. We're also adding a newsletter. If you'd like to be added to the newsletter, if you would just email me that you want to be added, and we will get you added onto the newsletter, so that, general things, we can pop out information, especially with market coming up. We're going to be doing some market promos. Unfortunately, over the last year and looking at, the numbers for the year and doing taxes and things like that, I was able to see that it was not going to be feasible for us to continue to do free shipping with a minimum purchase of $35, which is what Etsy sets the free shipping guarantee number at. The Postal Service took 3 major rate increases in the last 12 to 15 months, and it just is not feasible to continue to do that at that rate of $35. And unfortunately, Etsy, I think quite a few people have said, hey, maybe it's time to revisit, that rate limit, the spend limit for that, and they had no response. So we're going to be doing some shipping promos, especially for market. So I will try to put that information on the announcement section of the shop. But also we'll have that going out into a newsletter. So if you'd be interested in receiving that information, just send in an email to the shop or to me at the email address that I have listed below in the description box. It's hollishandscreate@gmail.com. We'll add you to that list, and then you'll be able to get those updates. We're full-blown market prep right now. I am not going to do a pre-order set up this year. The last 2 markets, I did get kind of burned by a vendor where, you know, I'd ordered and it took months and months. I kept getting, oh, we're doing it, it's going to be sent out, it's going to be sent out, and then, you know, nothing, and I would follow up. And so I'm not going to do that anymore, because I did have people pre-order those items, and then, you know, you have to go back to them and say, I'm so sorry. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wait until those items are in hand. I am going to take my trusty lighting systems with me for the to the hotel room. We're all in suites, so we're gonna have the living area and the bedroom area, and I'll be able to set up like I have in the past, and go ahead and get the pictures loaded when the items are actually in hand, and the listing set up, and we will go live at that point. So you'll be able to purchase starting on, you know, that first day of market, as we've got those items in hand. And then they'll of course begin to ship once I return from Nashville. So you can be watching for that. And like I said, we are going to do probably a free ship promo for at least the first 2 weeks after market. And then that'll kind of help people out who really want to purchase some things for market, don't want to pay for shipping. Let's see, I think that's it. I hope everyone is well. I hope you're feeling good. You know, there's been obviously a lot of sickness and things going around. Flu's been bad, in addition to this nasty COVID stuff. We've been very fortunate that we've not had really anybody get really super sick. My son got a nasty stomach bug for, I think it's about 36 hours. And then after that, he seemed to be okay. We were a little concerned at first, but he's doing okay. That was right after Christmas. And no other symptoms, no funky things. We were scrambling around, could not find an at-home COVID test to save our life. I did order one from the state, but it took 10 days to even get here, 10, maybe even 12 days. By that time he was feeling fine and had no symptoms. So we just hung on to it in case something happens and we need to use it for later. But I hope everyone is doing well. I hope your January went well, your kickoff to the new year. My Chiefs lost, so that's been, it's gonna take me another month or so to get over that. And then I'll be looking forward to the next football season. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed what you saw today. If you did, like and subscribe. I would appreciate that very much. That helps all of us Flosstubers. And enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy, if you've got some beautiful weather, or you've got family or whatever, just, you know, take the time to enjoy what's around you, and I hope that you are able to create every day. Thank you. Bye.